Hi, welcome back to another YouTube video. I'm sorry it's been a little bit of a wait since my last video. I finally managed to wrestle one of my kids' Nintendo Switches from them so I can talk about accessibility settings on the Switch. If you've not seen it already, I previously did a video on the Xbox One accessibility, so feel free to go back and have a look at that. Now, unfortunately, the Switch doesn't have as many accessibility settings as the Xbox, not in terms of software at least, but where it does do well, it's in the hardware. Where I don't do well is in hardware or software, because it's about the third or fourth time I've tried to record this video. I've had no end of technical difficulties. So fingers crossed this time everything's working okay. I've had problems with videos and all sorts of stuff. So anyway, this is what the Nintendo Switch screen looks like. One thing I do like about it is that it is a nice, simple screen. Just bear me 1 second. I'm just going to quickly grab the controllers. So yeah, so this is the Switch screen. So you've got a few icons in the middle for most recently played games. At the bottom you've got things like your news, you've got your eShop, you've got your albums, so you can take pictures with this little camera button on the controller. You've got your system settings, you've got sleep mode. So just go back to system settings a second. And then I'm not going to go through all these settings one by one, but there's a few things in there for screen brightness and things like that. Parental controls could be useful one if you've got youngsters that you don't want them to necessarily be able to access absolutely everything and make it safe for them to use, sort of buying things on the internet and that sort of thing. Go internet settings, data management, users. This is quite good, so you can set multiple users for your Switch, so you can have several people on the same device. And also within that you can make your own characters as well with the Me Creator, which is on the next menu item, which you might have seen before if you've had all the Nintendo systems. So if we carry on down through that, we've got the Amiibo thing, we've got this one I will stop on, this is themes. Now unfortunately there's not an awful lot of choice of themes on the Switch, which is a bit of a shame, but you do have a basic white theme, and which is what it's on at the moment, and then you've got this black theme which looks quite nice as well, but so not a lot, but at least there's something there which is good. So yeah, I'll put it back on white for now. You've got some notification settings on there, you've got things like sleep mode, how long it takes before the screen switches off, that sort of thing. You've got some controller settings, we're going to come back to that in a moment. TV output, and then if you go right down to the bottom to system, and then press right, and then go right down to the bottom again. Right down near the bottom of here, if I can find it, there's options for USB keyboard. The other thing you can do is change display colours, and this is quite a nice feature that they've added to Switch. So you can invert your colours. Unfortunately, they didn't have some of these settings when the Switch first came out, and you can make things grayscale as well if you want to. So visually, if somebody needs that sort of feature, then you can use that as well. I'll just put it back to default for now, so my daughter doesn't tell me off. And then right at the bottom of here is another feature they've just added, and this is zoom. So if I just switch that on, now if I press the home button twice on my controller in a second, then it will show you that it zooms in. And then if you hold down the X and the Y buttons, it will zoom in and out actually on the system as well. There we go, so I'll just zoom in on there. You also get a little icon in the bottom right hand corner there. Sometimes it pops at the top of the screen as well, and that shows you whereabouts on the screen you are as well, so that's quite a nice feature. So I'll zoom back out of there for now, so I'll just turn it off. So that will work as well across multiple apps and things within the Switch system itself, so that's quite nice. So yeah, and it does zoom in quite a long way as well. So at least they have added that feature. Something they didn't have when it first came out. So they're getting there slowly. So anyway, let me come back out of there for a second, and if I just go back up to controllers, we'll have a quick look at some of the controller options. Now, the nice thing they have added to Switch, and this is similar to the Xbox as well, is they've added button mapping options. So if you've got your controllers and physically finding certain buttons very difficult to access, you might have physical disabilities or whatever, and just finding it difficult to reach certain buttons, you can actually change any of the buttons in here. So if I press one of the buttons on my right Joy-Con controller in a moment and then click on change, I can then if I wanted to, I could change any of the buttons around to any of the other buttons, and I think you can have up to 5 presets of controller sort of arrangements, if you like, which is quite nice. If I click on change on here, So it shows you all the different buttons on the screen. I can click on any of these and I can change anything to anything else, which is really useful because obviously that really opens up quite a few more options for somebody that needs it. I'm not going to change the settings at the moment because my kids won't be very happy with that. But yeah, just to show you that that's in there as well. So that's pretty much it software-wise for the Switch. Unfortunately, where it does do well though is in the well, in fact, before I go on to controllers, I'll just talk a little bit about software. You might have seen in my Xbox video, I talked a bit about accessibility settings within different programs as well. So Fortnite, for example, has got some settings in there for colour blindness, for hearing impairment, etc. Minecraft has got its own accessibility options for text-to-speech and that sort of thing as well. I'm sure some of these other apps and games have got things in them as well. I don't know them all exhaustively, but it is nice that a lot of developers are actually putting accessibility options into their games, which is really good, and sort of really thinking about it when they produce these things. But yeah, where the Switch really does well is in its hardware. So excuse me one second. So you get your Joy-Con controllers. These are what come with the Switch, and on most games you sort of use the left one for certain things, use the right one for certain things, and use them in tandem with each other. And I find that quite nice. You can sort of relax in bed and sort of you have them behind your head and use them like that. Most games as well, not all games, but quite a lot of games, you can either use two or you can use one of them if you want to. So, and that makes it quite nice if you've got multiple people and you haven't got enough controllers. Oh, just put that on the wrong way around. So you get these little shoulder button slider things that go onto the controller. So now I've got a single controller that will operate most games. Quite small when it's like that, but that might be quite good for some people. And it's not too bad once you get used to it, actually. They are very comfortable and easy to use controllers. The other thing that the Switch usually comes with is one of these, and this is a little Joy-Con grip, so I can slide my controllers into there, one in there, and one in there, and now it's a little bit more like a regular controller. If you've got bigger hands, you can use one hand, or you can put it down on a surface and just use one hand to do the controls then without them flying around everywhere, so that's quite a nice feature as well. Excuse me. If you don't like using those sorts of controllers, you can get more regular looking controllers as well. So you can get your Nintendo Switch Pro controllers. This is a slightly cheaper sort of version of that. It looks a bit like an Xbox controller, but it is made for Switch. It won't work on absolutely every game, because some games you do need to use the Joy-Cons for, but it works on the majority of games. These Joy-Con controllers charge up on the side of the Switch, or you can buy an external charger as well. This one's just regular batteries, so it's nice to have that option as well in case you've forgotten to charge up the other controllers or whatever, so that's really useful. In terms of the actual Switch itself, just bear with me a second while I quickly grab it. The Switch sits in this docking station, and that plugs up to the television, and you can put your games on the TV, but you don't have to. You can take the tablet out, and it is a fully functioning touchscreen device, and you can scroll through that way. You can change the sensitivity level on the touchscreen as well, which is good. Excuse me. And then you can get your Joy-Con controllers. You can slide them on the side. If you've got other Joy-Con controllers, that's how it pairs it up as well. So you can pop them on the side of there, and you can use it like a portable tablet device as well. Alternatively, if you're struggling with that, you can take the controllers back off. It does have a little stand just on the back here as well, so if I just flick that one out, there we go, and then that will then just stand on the table, and you can use your controllers and use that as a small screen as well. So really, really versatile in terms of different types of use. More recently, Nintendo have introduced the Nintendo Switch Lite, which is a slightly cheaper version than this, but it is pretty much just fixed like that, so it's got controllers just built into the sides of it. It's just a portable device, which might be fine for quite a lot of people, and it is a cheaper option, but I think there's a little bit more versatility with the regular Nintendo Switch. So yeah, so I think that's about it really. Hopefully I've not missed anything too important. If I have, then please do let me know. I'm no expert on these things. But if anybody has any comments or questions, and please feel free to get in touch. Please leave a like if you get a chance, and feel free to subscribe. And thank you very much for watching. Okay, thanks a lot. Bye. That didn't record, I think. Right. Got this going as well.